All right. Welcome, everybody. This is a virtual breakout session. I am the moderator, Leanne Rumler, and I have just a few things to share with you before we get started. Please keep your microphones on mute unless you have a question or a comment. And you can ask your questions at the end, and you can use the chat or ask them verbally. If you could save all your questions till the end, that would be helpful. After the session, if you would take a minute to give your feedback about the presenter and the presentation, that would be helpful as well. It's on the conference portal. And so we'll get started with today's presentation, Google Data Studio for Dummies. And your presenter is Brian Holda from Davenport University. I will let him, there's a link in the chat for anybody that doesn't see it up on the online that you can follow if you would. And I will let Brian take it away.
All right, thank you, Leanne. Excuse me. Yeah, as Leanne mentioned, you should be able to see my screen here, and this is meant to be followed along. So it's a little late probably now for this, but I tested it with one person and they said, oh, it's nice to have two monitors. It's totally doable. It should be totally doable with just a laptop. You just might have to be going from one tab to another to follow along. But to follow along, I want you to go to that URL, and I believe Leanne put it in the chat as well. Also, I would like you to do this poll on that page when you get there. So just to get a quick gauge of how familiar you are with Google Data Studio. Go ahead and fill that out. I'll give a moment here. Again, for anyone joining late, we're going to this URL here, and then filling out this poll. All right, so let's see what's going on as well. I'll submit. Let's see where we have. Okay, so it looks like we have heard of it but haven't used it is the majority. So great, that's who I aimed this for. So that's good to know from the beginning. Okay, so we're gonna get started here and go through it, and let's just go on. Well, actually, one preliminary thing at the beginning. Hope it was not an offensive title, Google Data Studio for Dummies. I did want to point this out that I put that in there because I like those kind of titles, because I'm like, oh, good, I belong here. So I put it in because I'm like, I want it. That was for me. So not to mean to be offensive at all. It's to say, yeah, this is kind of starting from ground zero and working our way up. Okay. So let's scroll down this page to the setup. And the next thing you'll want to, or the first thing you'll want to do is log in to Google Data Studio. I'm going to show you. So you'll click on that. I'm going to just copy that link address so you can see here. And it should look something like this. If you've never used it, it's probably what the majority of you are seeing here. By the way, I already talked to Leanne about this. She'll be monitoring chat, and as well, sometimes I might say, hey, is everyone here? Maybe you could just raise your hand or something at that point. Excuse me. Or just raise your hand if you're not there too. If you're like, oh, I need something, please feel free to interrupt as we go, because it would be challenging even in person, I think, to have everyone do this together, even more so virtually. So we want to get as much of a bang out of the buck as we can. Okay, so your screen should look something like this if you follow this link here, log into Google Data Studio. Next thing is we are going to select a blank report. Excuse me. You're going to select a blank report. And again, your screen should look something like this, you might have some introductory things if you've never used it before. I think they might say, like, what's your country or those kind of things. But at this point, could you, if your screen looks the same like this and you're tracking along, could you just raise your hand so we know that everyone's on the same page? All right, so I'm seeing, I saw a few. Okay. Okay, let me show again for those who maybe aren't there yet. We're here, we're starting at this page, davenport.libguides.com / Google -data -studio. And then come into the setup, and we're going to log into Google Data Studio. And then you're going to be in Google, or sorry, you're going to be, you should have hit the blank report. It looks like this, blank report Data Studio. And then your page should look like this. Okay. So from this page, it's saying, where do you want to get the data from? And Leanne, by the way, feel free to interrupt me at any time if there's like, oh, not finding this or not finding that. I want to make sure people are on the same page. Okay, so Google Data Studio is a presentation. It's a nice way to visually present and communicate your findings. You can see it uses all sort of data uploads. In this presentation, we're actually going to show how to use it with Google Analytics. It's probably the most common. That's probably why it's the top left. So the next thing, number 3, under Connect to Data, select Google Analytics. So you should select Google Analytics, and you should see a screen somewhat like this. Yours probably, well, this, if you already are connected to Google Analytics, you actually will probably have some options show up here. If you're, this is my account, I'm just using a kind of a dummy account, and it has, you do not have any Google Analytics accounts, so probably a lot of you will have that as well, and that's no problem. I'll show you how to get around that in a moment. But again, could you just maybe give a hand up or thumb up to say you see the same screen? All right. So, and again, for those coming in late here, this is the guide we're on, Google Data Studios for Dummies, and we're going right through the start, setup, 1, 2, 3. We just did steps 1, 2, and 3. Now, if you are not seeing a Google Analytics account, it means you are not currently, you don't have that set up for Google Analytics. You don't have any Google Analytics account already. That's not a problem. What you want to do then is, in a separate tab, you're going to click Google Analytics demo account. I'm going to just copy that link address and show you here. So you're going to open that here. Again, on that first page, we're in step 4. And from this page, you want to click this Access Demo Account. All right. And if you did it, you should see something just like this, where all of a sudden it shows me I'm actually in Google Analytics now. And for those who aren't that familiar, Google Analytics is just a fancy way to get a bunch of demographics and insights and analytics on your website. So this is giving me a demo account that Google has here. Okay, so can you get another thumb up or hands that you're ready to move on? Okay, a few people are raising their hands saying they're good. Got a few more. Okay, good. Okay, you can put hands down now. Okay, so then, like I said, that should be in a separate account. So we'll come back here to our Google Data Studio here and just refresh the page. Just refresh the page because it needs to say, oh, you have that account now. And again, we're going to press Google Analytics. Oops. Okay, so now let's go back to our guide here. So it says we're on step number 4 of this first page, the start page, Google Data Studios for Dummies. And here we are. We did that, we refreshed it, we select Google Analytics account again, and now we're going to select demo account under the account label. So go here, demo account. All right. Next, you'll see these properties. So if you're using demo account, just click that UA Google Merchandise Store. If others have other accounts, use the property that works for you. And then here, there's a few different views. We'll just do the raw data view. We're going to get as much data as we can. So click number 3, raw data view. All right. So again, demo account, UA Google Merchandise Store, raw data view. And then when you have those, select add. All right. And you'll see a pop-up and just saying you're about to add this report. Are you okay with this? Just say add to report. Okay, so I know that probably took the most time out of anything we're going to do just to get it set up. I apologize for that, but it's important to have data to work with so we can see it in real time what it's like. If you have this, if you're good, you have something like this, could you again raise your hand or thumb up? Okay. Good. And again, apologies for those who've been here the whole time, but just for any latecomers, we are at davenport.libguides.com/Google Data Studio, and you're able to follow along from there. And so all I've been doing is the setup, and you go one at a time, 1, 2, 3, 4. We just chose the property 5, 6. We just selected add, and we selected add to report number 8. And finally, just to give us a whole blank canvas here, we're going to delete that table. They just popped up a table there, and I don't want to deal with it right now. So you just can click on it and just hit delete on your keyboard or right click and delete. So you should have a blank canvas here. Okay. So let's go back now. Excuse me. All right. So now we're moving on to page 1 sessions. I'm going to give a quick pause. I know now I get it. Some people might still have some issues. We might not get all of those resolved, but are there quick questions that we could help with right now, just in getting everyone set up? Leanne, I'll look to you if there's any chat questions.
Hi, I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a Google Analytics account, but it's not connected to any data. So it's
Okay. And at the admin level, they may have not given you permissions. I'm not sure.
yeah, that's kind of what happened is I had to turn all of my stuff over to my marketing people. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I would just do the demo account.
Okay. All right. That's what I'll do.
Excellent question.
All right.
Anyone else before we go on to creating some pages?
I don't see anything else in the chat.
Okay. Excuse me. Okay. Well, let's move on then. Thank you for that question. And I was glad you just used the mic. That was a lot easier. So if others have questions, feel free anytime. Okay. Let's click on page 1 now, sessions. And again, we're going to go just step by step. So first, let's choose a theme. So number 1, we'll come here, and it actually, I think it defaults this on the right. You can choose a theme. If it didn't, you just up here in the top, click theme and layout, and it gives these options. So they have a few themes. You can even customize it, but if there's something that kind of looks neat to you, here, I've never tried this one before. Just click on one. You can always just change it with a click of the mouse later. There's also these layout options. This is just getting a general style. You can play with that now or later, but for our purposes, just choose a theme. And that was step 1. Step 2, we're going to create a header background. So the way to do that is on the top, you'll see this shape, and you're going to click on it and click rectangle. And I mean, you could do the other ones, but I'm just showing you this. And I'm going to have this rectangle here. And so that gives me a little, you can see it's a little grayer. It's got my background in. Let's see what step 3. So we chose a theme, created a header background. Step 3 now, we're going to create header text. That's where you're going to click that text box option. So here's text box. And you can put it there. Here, it defaults to this 14 pixel font. I don't like that. So I'm going to bump it up to, we'll say 40 pixels. And, oh, you know, it didn't hold that for me. So hold on. So I have sessions here. It's still kind of small. I'm just going to hit Control A, and then we'll bump it up to this 40 pixels. Okay, that looks a little nicer. All right, again, we're not going to play with all the aesthetics right now, but I'm just showing you how it works. I'll make that like that. So we have a title here. This first page I'm going to call Sessions. And please do the same. I mean, I guess you can call it whatever you want, but we're going to do sessions here. Okay, so that's step 3. Step 4, we're going to add a date range now. So this is under this add a control. Let me show you that here. Here's this add a control. We're going to click that. And then you'll click date range control. You can see it's something that you can just move around wherever you want it. I've been using it in the top right of some of my reports. So I'll do that here, but you can do wherever you want. And I'm going to just make it a little larger. So it should say something like that. You should have a box say select date range. If it's like mine, it's really small font. And so again, if I come here on the right, I'm going to click style. And I'm just going to bump that font up to something a little nicer. Yeah, that works. So I'll put 30 pixels for mine. You can do whatever you want. And you can really put it wherever you want, but I'm doing it here for now. Okay, so let me pause here. Let me know, maybe again, thumb up or hands up if you have a header and a date range up. Okay, we're seeing some hands. Very good. Okay, and one more thing. Okay, you can put the hands down. One more thing on this date range, I forgot to mention, we're going to actually click on the data part here. So you're going to highlight the item, click data, and here it's an auto date range. We're just going to click that arrow and come up there where it says auto date range, top right of that calendar. And you'll say, you can choose whatever you want. I a lot of times use this year to date, and I'll just say apply. So that's kind of nice because you'll see it, May 20th comes out and it'll automatically update for May 20th. So I use that, and we have a nice start here. What this means is every chart I'm going to put here will funnel into that date range. You could always change that later. And the user can change it too, but this is the default. Okay. Again, break in if you have questions or you say, whoa, a little too fast. Go ahead and either put a chat question up or just use your mic. Well, let's go here. I'm assuming we're good. Now we're going to add our first chart here. So we're going to add a time series chart. So you're going to click on that add a chart. All right, so right here, add a chart. And then for this one, we'll just choose the first one under time series. And it's similar to the date. You just can click it around and put it where you want it. And I'll make it a little larger here. Excuse me. So that's nice. It's got a chart. It's measuring users right now. And you can see that is real-time analytics. It's really saying users. This is I'm using the dummy account that Google gives. But it is, if you have one for your website, it'll show you real-time, here's your users. But I want to change what we're measuring here. So first, we're going to make the dimension equal to date. I'll show you that over here. That's under, so if you highlight the chart, and then you should click the data, you have some options here on the left. Dimension, and mine by default is in date. Maybe yours is too. If it is, you're good, move on. If it's not, you would just click that here, and you could actually look for date and choose date, and it would use that. So we're at dimension date. Next is this metric equals sessions. Excuse me. And so that's below here, below the dimension. metric. So you can see right now it's measuring new users, and I'm sorry, that's probably a little small for you to see. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Okay, metric, new users. I'm going to click on that metric, and instead of new users, I'm going to use sessions. So type in the word sessions, and then you'll scroll down until you find this thing. It's going to say it'll have a 1, 2, 3 in sessions, and that's all it says. And I'll click on that, and there you go. And I don't know if you noticed it there, but it changed that right on the fly. So it's using this time series chart, and it's using sessions. So far, so good. The next thing, under default date range, we're going to compare to the previous period, which is a really nice feature. And it's so easy to do. This default date range, if you scroll down on your data side here, the chart, under comparison date range, instead of none, you're actually going to come here, and where it says none, you'll just say, and I almost always do the previous period. So it's going to capture that January 1st through May 19th of last year. I'm going to say apply. Okay, and that's nice because now it shows us there actually has been some improvement year to year in this particular chart. Okay, and then last is adding a title, and we can just insert a text box to do that. So let's, I selected text right up there, and then I'm just going to put it right here, and I'll title mine sessions year. I'll just sessions year to date, YTD. Again, you can highlight it with Control A, change the font size to something a little nicer. You can play with it all you want. Again, I'm not going to get much into aesthetics in this in this round, but hopefully you'll see that in just a few steps, you can have a decent looking thing. Okay, so we have our chart. Very good. The last thing on page 1 I want to make is we're going to add a scorecard. This is going to be easier. And again, we're going to click add a chart on that page. So here's add a chart. And under scorecard, there's 2 things. I would use the one on the left and put it where you want it. And there it is. So you can see it automatically calculated all of those sessions. Nice right there. And then it's all the total of that. The one thing I'm going to change to this, so we want to make sure the metric equals sessions, which I'm pretty sure it does. Yep, metric sessions. And then the default date range, we're going to say compared to previous period. So default date range, same thing right here, comparison data range. And I'm going to say compare to previous period, apply. You can see it actually went up 21%. Okay, that's page 1. I want to stop for some questions here. So this is page 1, and it doesn't have to be exactly like this, but you should see something kind of along these lines if you're following along at home. Questions? I saw something in the chat. Was that answered, Leanne?
Yeah, it was just a comment more than a question.
Okay, great.
So looks
Okay.
like good to go.
Okay. Excuse me. All right, so let's go on then. And Leanne, for time-wise, we have about 10 minutes, right, before Q&A?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, we're tracking well. Okay, so here we are. You got it set up, we did page 1. Now we're gonna do page 2, and this is actually gonna fly pretty fast because we can just duplicate our page. I'll show you that here. So step 1, we're gonna duplicate the sessions page. So we're gonna look for that page option at the top. Here it is, page. And then you just click duplicate page. Okay. So I don't know if you notice it there, right up here at the top left, that changed. So now it says page 2 of 2. So we have a page 1 and then a copy of page 1. I don't like those titles. Let's make it more descriptive. So that's the next step here, I believe. Yeah, change the page title and heading. We're going to change that here. So in page 1, let's make that be called sessions. Enter. And then page 2, let's do page views and devices. Rename. Okay, that looks good. And then the last thing on page 2, I want to change it up here as well. Oops. Okay, page views and devices. Again, it's doing that small font, so let me bump that up to 40 pixels. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so you can see here we are. I can go between the two. Sessions looks like this. Page views and devices looks like this. See. Next step. Step 3, we're going to change the sessions time series chart into a table. So I'm going to show you how to do that here. Here we have it. We're going to click on that chart. And the top, or on the right-hand side, this right-hand window pane, let me zoom in a little bit again. It says chart time series. I want to change that to a table now. So it's actually the first option here. We'll click table. And you can see it gave me a table. It's not what I want yet in the numbers, but it's nice that it's a table there. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is dimension equals page title. So under data, you'll look for dimension. Instead of date now, we're going to change the dimension. We're going to say, well, we want a page title. That's what I want that whole, every row to be called, page titles. Okay, that looks a little confusing. It's alphabetical, reverse alphabetical, I believe is why that's happening here. Or no, I think it is alphabetical. So they're rendering that to be like, you know, before A. Anyway, don't worry too much if your page looks like that. So does mine. It'll be changed here in a moment. Okay, and then we're going to change the metric to page views. So instead of sessions, we'll come here and you type page views. And again, we're going to scroll down until we find the one that literally just says page views. 1, 2, 3 page views. And we click on that. Okay, so that's nice. It gives me some page views here, but we still want to organize this. So next one, we're going to sort page views. So under sort, right now it's doing it by page title and it's saying that's alphabetical. We actually want to see what's the top page views first. So again, we're going to type page views or page V for me, and then it's 1, 2, 3 page views. Click on that. Much better. Okay, so now you can see, and oh, we have our little title thing here. So I'll call this page views chart, something like that for my title. Okay, so now you can see we have this chart here, and look at that. It shows order by page views. So the home page is the most used, men's unisex is the next used. It even has next to it a comparison saying how did it do compared to last year. So these went up, those went down, or the number 4 Google Online Store went down, and so forth. So we have a nice page views chart like that. Next, title equals pages by. Oh yeah, I already changed it. I changed the title, so that's just referring to this. If you had that title from the chart before, you can change the text. Excuse me. Okay, step number 4 on this page, we're going to change the sessions scorecard to a pie chart. So let's come over here where it says sessions. And again, in the top right where it says chart scorecard, you click on that and you can choose pie chart here. Okay, and I'm going to make that larger so it really stands out a little bit. Okay, so far so good. Hope it's working on yours as well. And then let's change the dimension equals device category. So here we're going to come back to data. And we'll come down to, hold on, I think I'm losing, where am I at here? Dimension equals device category. Oh, right at the top, sorry about that. Oh, my mind wasn't over there. Okay, dimension, instead of page title, you're gonna go to device, you're gonna click on that page title and say, no, we want it by device category. Of course, you can use anything you want. I'm just showing this as an example. This is a helpful chart we use a lot. It can show at a glance this last year or that year to date, desktop, mobile, tablet, not much love for the tablet as normal. And then if we wanted to add a title, you could call it devices. So you can just add a title here. And we'll say devices chart. Something
Got
like
5 minutes, Brian.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay. So we have this and we have our page. This is page 2. And it's looking pretty good. So again, I'm going to take a pause now. So we've done page 2. And I don't know, Leanne, if it would work since we're doing questions throughout. If we might be able to bump it a little bit more than 5 minutes, but I guess it's up to you too.
That's fine by me.
We're at the home stretch here. So I think we're in good time, but please ask any questions you have right now if you're stuck on something regarding page 2. Any questions? If you're good to go, maybe give me that signal too, a thumb up or a wave or something.
Brian, Megan is saying that she doesn't see sort in her options on the side. Is that something that she needs to add?
On the pie chart, you mean? On, oh, whoops, I'm on data.
Oh, she says she's kind of far behind.
Oh, sorry about that. You shouldn't have to add it, Megan. It's under data. If you're choosing the dimension, it might be because of the dimension you chose. I'm not sure, or the chart. It might be the chart as well. So make sure the chart matches what I have and the dimension matches. And I think you should see it. Apologies if it's a little vague. It doesn't work for you.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions before we go on? All right. Well, actually, let's go on anyway for time wise. Sorry if you do have questions, you can contact me later. Okay. Let's go to this last page now. We're on Google Data Studio for Dummies, excuse me, and we're gonna do the share. So the share is pretty easy here. It's only 2 steps. So we really are almost at the end here. Praise the Lord. Let's go to. Oh yeah.
Brian, just Angela has a comment. She says there's a quirk with Google Data Studio and Chrome, especially on smaller screens where some of the info in the menu on the right is off to the bottom of the screen.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. I didn't know that, Angela. Thank you. Okay. So that might regard the sort too or something. Okay. So let's come here for the last 2 things we'll do. Where it says in the top left, Untitled Report, we're going to give a name to this report. We'll just call it Miele 2021 Demo. Okay, so that's our report there. But then the next thing is you can come to the share option. And this is a really nice, well, actually, we can do a view option too. Let me show you what this looks like. So here's our report. It's looking pretty good. We have there, and you can share that URL and people can see it. And even on the view side, if they say, well, I want to see a different date, they can just click it and it becomes very usable for people to see. Let's go back to edit now. So now under share, you have a few options here that are really nice. One would be you can just get a report link. So you have that link and anyone who has that link can just view your report. Another one, well, let me go to the top. Invite people. That's kind of like a Google Doc in general. You can add people to invite and they can view or edit it. So that's going to work the same as the Google Suite. You also have the schedule email delivery, and I've really liked this. I have a report that is emailed to a few of us every Friday, and it gives us a quick, hey, here's a rundown of how your page did on these metrics in the last week. You also can download it as a PDF, and you can embed it as well. So those are some of your options, and let me show you what. Here we go. Let me see if it's here. If I go to this last page, samples, I know we're winding up to the questions here too, but so we're making good time here. Right here, I did this same presentation and I did a different, demo report, but you can see I use that embed and here it is. And it works. It embeds it right there and you can come and it's embedding within the box, within a LibGuide box, and it works fine. You can also do a full screen and get to see what that's like. So the embed just works like that. Here's another one. Here's a real world example. Maybe I'll end with this one that we use. Here's our general. It's a report we've made, and anyone with that link can go to it. And so this is where we get to measure. Okay, this is again this is the year to date. It says, hey, all of our Davenport pages. I'm not sure why that chart's not loading. And then compared to our library homepage, compared to our LibGuides pages, compared to our summon pages. And I have all sorts of pages that you can go, here's our top LibGuide pages. All of those kind of things right there are very viewable. I think the only thing the only catch you might have if you're trying to share it, excuse me, and it's not, is I think you might need to publish it. There might be an option for that. Yeah, just make sure it's published if it's not showing up, and make sure you've shared it correctly. But again, that will work the same as like a Google Slides or a Google Docs or anything like that. Okay, so hopefully you're able to follow along. Hopefully you have a finished product. If anyone wants to even share, you're welcome to share what you did here. But we have a few minutes for questions too. And oh, I'm sorry. Well, maybe you're thinking of questions. If we go back to the guide that I've been on here, davenport.libguides.com/Google-data-studio. You can see also my contact information down there. So just hit the big contact me if you have questions that maybe we can't divvy out here in the last couple minutes. But any questions, Leanne? Or
Yeah,
others?
David Malone has a question. He says, for LibGuides data, are you importing, or how do you connect LibGuides with Google?
Yeah, LibGuides has a place right in it to add your Google Data Studio, or sorry, to add your Google Analytics. And this is just using Google Analytics. Hold on, let me see. So hold on here. So here I am in LibGuides, and if you just go to the admin, I think it's under look and feel, and you add here, there's somewhere where you can add your analytics information. I think that's somewhere where it is. So anyway, you add it there just like you would Google Analytics. And as long as you have the Google Analytics set up, then you'll be able to do the Google Data Studio. Good question. Are there other questions?
Hey, Brian.
Yes.
It's Angela. Hi.
Hey, Angela.
It's good to see your face.
Yeah, you too. Well, I don't see you, but good to hear your voice. I should say.
I'm not putting my video on, but I did
fine.
follow up on that issue with Chrome and Google Data Studio.
Yeah.
So what I've had to do is actually shrink the size of my screen browser window in order to get to some of those that are at the bottom of that place. So if other people are running into that problem, that's what I've had to do to get to it. For some reason, there's not a scroll bar for that.
Interesting. Okay, so if I'm here, I'm wondering if,
Yeah, for the data part, like the right, you can scroll down to like through the available fields, but the part left, there's no scroll for that.
Interesting.
I have not tried it in other browsers, so if others have experience or have used other browsers and found it works better, feel free to chime in, but just wanted to let you know my workaround for using it in Chrome.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you for the presentation.
Yeah, it's good to hear your voice. Any other questions?
I have a question. Which reports do you use most often, and what do you do with them?
That's a great question. Okay, so if I go back to my, I have a few samples here, and these are the ones that we do use the most often. The general sample is something good for every year, and we've shared that with, whoops, let me actually go back here. The general one, we've shared that with higher ups, people who want to look at the data because they can look at it themselves. And so, hey, how did the year go? Well, here you go. It's saved us tremendous amount of work. my boss used to say, hey, can you get it? And I was using Excel before Data Studio. It was like a couple of days of work. And now I'm like, yeah, here's the link. And so it's really nice to get a quick snapshot in it, and especially comparing it against like the DU pages and the homepage, the other products we have. So that's one way we use it. The LibGuides is another example. And this is something try to look at every year, and I send it out to our liaison librarians. Actually, I think I saw Janice might be on too, so she can speak to her use of it. But this is something that we've made for different LibGuides, like all the technology LibGuides. There's a lot here. Hey, on all just those pages, what does it look like? What is the users, page views? How does it look since last year? What devices are being used? This is really helpful when we're doing web stuff, like, we don't need to spend. I remember we were spending a lot of time on mobile, and then we said, we don't need to spend that much time on mobile to make it like this perfect experience. We do spend sometime, or Chrome. We're saying we want to make sure Chrome works before we do any other ones. And then here's the page titles that are really popular. And so that's another one we use. And then lastly, this is that weekly overview I was talking about. This is, you were asking how to use it. So in the LibGuide, this really informs me to say, hey, here's some pages that a lot of people are using. I can touch those up a little bit. Those are kind of outdated, or not a lot of people are using that. So I kind of look at the page by page, helps as well. And then for this is what we get sent to the email. This is just a quick and dirty one that says, hey, this week, how did we compare to other Davenport pages? And what were the LibGuides that are used the most? That's been really revealing that last week. And so I say, wait, wow, didn't realize that was coming. Then we did a filter later because we realized a lot of non-Davenport people were using our guides. And so we kind of had our quick and dirty way to do it is just say people from Michigan who are using our guides. And so then that gave a lot of different, very different perspectives. So that was a filter too. Hope that kind of answered your question.
Yeah, thanks. Barb, did you have your hand up, or was that from earlier? Apparently
Sorry,
not.
that was from earlier.
Okay.
I totally forgot to take that up. I just realized that I just started this new job, and the previous person had used this where I had used Tableau. So I just wanted to take a look and see the differences. So
thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're coming up to the end of our time. Are there any other questions? Comments? Applause? Okay, just as a reminder, there is an evaluation form on the conference portal. And if you guys would take the time to fill that out, that would be very helpful to the people planning the conference. And thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you as well. That's probably good. And I still have the screen up for those who are still here for if you want to reference that. All right. Leanne, anything else we need?
I think we're good. Lots of thank yous in the chat.
Good.
So I'm going to stop recording now if we're all set.
Yep, and I'll stop sharing.
Okay.